just these students will be keen and taking place as soon as the information is available. He said that in light of the extra student number, it was admitting it would put in place additional teaching and pastoral support. We are confident that if the students avail of the additional information that are going to put in place, then they should be able to make a success of course. The university is grateful for understanding shown by Department of Employment and Learning Minister Mr. Stephen Farai and will be in discussion with him in his office. Once again, the university apologizes for the anxiety and stress that has been caused by any of our applicants and the families. On Friday, Professor Miller apologized for the email error. He said 370 students had been sent emails of acceptance when in reality only 180 places were available. He said the email had went out to all live applicants in the system, regardless of what result should have received. He also said that the mistake was confined to the one faculty. The University of Ulster has campuses in Belfast, Jeddah, Corran, and Londriel. Professor Miller said it would be impossible to accept all those applicants due to funding reasons and physical space limitations. He advised that those affected should monitor their status on the UCAS track website, where their final decision will be posted. Now the analysis of the top stories. Julian Assange expected to make statement. Julian Assange went to the Ecuadorian embassy to seek political asylum because he was refused by the Supreme Court of England of an application to reject his extradition order to Sweden, and he was given 2 weeks grace period to get himself prepared before he would be extradited to Sweden to face trial or charges of sexual molestation and rape of 2 women who were volunteers of the WikiLeaks. This has brought about international or diplomatic row between Great Britain and Ecuador by saying that the act which gives Britain the authority to violate or waive off the diplomatic immunity of the Ecuadorian embassy in Britain, that it is no longer, or it will be no longer, the territory of Ecuador. We know that any high commission or embassy in any country is automatically the territorial integrity of that country. But in Great Britain, there is a law that can waive that immunity or that rule that has been set aside for any country to host its citizenry in another country as a collaborative effort to bring in world peace. This has also brought about another international row, saying that if Britain thereby violates that law, the Southern American countries and the leftists has said that Britain will face the consequences worldwide. If one could remember, sometimes last year, Iranians invaded the British consular or embassy in Tehran and did cause some mayhem, ruin, destroy, vandalize some properties of the consular. Immediately that happened, Mr. Hague immediately removed some members or some staff of Iranian embassy to and deported them to Iran. So how can one turn around to say that, yes, there is a law in the country that allows this country to waive off the diplomatic immunity, to waive off the rule and regulations that makes a particular place of this country a territorial integrity of another country so that an arrest could be effected? Wouldn't this cause a row, or wouldn't this cause another country to also say that, yes, if you have done that, then your territorial integrities in my country would also be invaded, and this will bring problems in this world? As a matter of fact, if somebody is seeking political asylum in another country, I don't think that that person's right of seeking political asylum in another country should be violated by anybody anyway. But this is a case that the WikiLeaks man, Julian Assange, is being wanted by another country, which is Sweden, and he is believed to be extradited to Sweden, and later on will also be extradited to the United States of America, which analysts also believe that immediately Assange is taken to the United States of America, his right as a human being will be violated, and possibly he could face the death penalty. Well, this is a little bit analysis on Julian Assange's issue on this topic. You can also add your voice, or you can analyze this issue via the social network, and your discussions, your analysis are also welcome. Now let's look at the Duke of Edinburgh. It is reported once again that he's been taken ill, and he will miss some the royal shuttle that is taking place for now at Barrowmoor. The Duke of Edinburgh for the past 9 months has been taken ill, which of course the royal family is so transparent on the health of the Duke of Edinburgh. This should be a clear example to world leaders that when one has taken ill or is taken ill, it must be known to the entire country. We will remember that sometime June, when the Queen was celebrating the Diamond Jubilee, the Duke of Edinburgh was taken ill and was taken to the hospital, where he spent 5 nights. During Christmas last year, it happened, and he was taken ill. He spent the Christmas in hospital, and now he's spending Christmas in hospital. In related issue, Ghana as a country, the president took ill, or the president was chronically ill, where his sickness or his ailment was hidden by his party, the National Democratic Congress, and said the president was fine and well. He could do everything as a healthy human being. All of a sudden, the president passed away. Do you think that those who were saying that President Fifi Mills, Professor Mills, was as strong as fiddle, was as healthy as fiddle, should be brought to book? Do you think that there should be an inquiry to find out the mystery surrounding the death of the president, as people would know that former President Jerry John Rawlings has categorically stated on an international platform that the president suffered throat cancer, which affected his eye and ears, and for that matter, he couldn't have worked more than 3 hours every day. These are some of the issues that we think that if discussed dispassionately, without any party or political eye, could help solve some emerging problems in our country, which will sew or tailor the country together and geared towards socio-economic development and political deepening. We have a country that any political or national issues discussed by anybody dispassionately, the person could or may be branded as an enemy to party A or party B, which is making democracy making mockery of democracy in Ghana. If we would recollect, ex-President Rawlings, as he says, or as he stands, always criticize, and his criticism has not been taken fairly by either of the political parties, National Democratic Congress, which he helped founded, or which he was the founder. They never take keen of his criticism. When the New Patriotic Party was in office, he criticized them constructively. His criticisms were never taken seriously. Anytime he opens his mouth, they said, there he goes again. He wants to take control of the country through coup, which of course he had no track record of executing coup, as they say, that most of the coups he was just the front, but the people that executed the coup were there. Now, how can one justify this hypocrisy? When it's with you, it's fine. When it's against you, it's wrong. His party adamantly defended him anywhere, anything he says, they defend him. Now that he is speaking against his party of some corrupt practices, of some political shenanigans and machinations, they are now going against him, or they've gone against him and said that he's lost his political bearing. What is political bearing here? The man is being factual, and he's telling the world the truth about the whole scenario, or what is going on. Ghana, let's wake up and work as one people with a common destiny. Let's work as one people wanting to help build our country to the next level. The clock is ticking on us. Last but not the least, unpolitical, unbiased economic analysis made by Alistair Darling, urging the Chancellor George Osborne to expedite action to get Great Britain out of depression. He has sent a letter to the Chancellor George Osborne telling him to make swift development to get the country out of the depression. He said much expenses should be made by the Chancellor in related to energy, housing, and Heathrow runway, taking advantage of the lower interest rate. This letter sent by the former Chancellor Alistair Darling has brought in a very, very good sigh of relief on some of the backbenchers of Tory party, the Conservative, who always opposed to George Osborne's policy on the economy. Alistair Darling, the former Chancellor of Great Britain, said, as the policies of Mr. Osborne from 2010 till now hasn't worked, therefore he needs to change when the paradigm of economic analysis or the economy changes. He has to also change his mind. He said again that in the Great Depression of 1930s, some measures were taken to get Great Britain out of that Great Depression. Measures like social interventions and capital expenditure. When you embark on capital expenditure, you tend to create employment, bring money into the system where people will make money, and taxes will be taken to re-fence the economy. This is what Alistair Darling sent to George Osborne. But the Deputy Shadow Chancellor, Ed Ball, still is radical on some of the policies of George Osborne and has been calling him names ever since he embarked on this. Well, listeners, this is it. This is about time that I got out of the studio and make way for another person to continue. This has been the day's news and analysis. Stay tuned and do not flip the dial. The Antique Bell.